this is actually the first time that the Philippine Stock Exchange approved a company to list under, but it's under the supplemental listing and disclosure requirements for renewable energy companies. So this means that you're allowed to do an IPO even though it's not operational and it's still in the development stage. So tell us more about that. Is it at a
Yes,
risk for investors?
yes, we would like to begin by thanking the PSE for first coming up with these rules in 2011, trying to encourage renewable energy companies to list even development stage projects 10 years ago. And hopefully, this first listing, making use of that 2011 rule, will encourage others to likewise tap the capital markets to fund greenfield projects. In terms of the risk, that is why it is equity and not debt that is first being raised, in hopes that the risk can be repaid with reward. Because we are trying to take this company from the first 50 megawatts to the next 225 to its eventual 500. And if the offering will have equity to support that, then the investors would be able to make a good return on their investment as compared to those that may come later in the development stage of the process, which would be paying for an already operating plant.
Mm. Actually, Leandro, I was able to talk to some analysts, and actually, they were excited with this IPO. But at the same time, they're also asking, when will the company make money? Do you have projections?
Yes, the prospectus notes that the first 50 megawatts should become operational in a target of 9 months from the IPO, and the 225 megawatts a few months thereafter, because once you have the first few megawatts linked to the national grid, it's relatively easy to add more solar panels to get to the full 225. And a solar project becomes profitable from its first day of operations because the operational cost is very low. The fuel, of course, is free. And so if that timeline is met, then we may be able to declare dividends as early as 2023. However, I would emphasize the need to think of what is going to create the most value for the shareholders rather than necessarily dividending out the earnings of the company. Because if we want to take this from its modest beginnings to becoming this very large project, I think it would be most accretive to be reinvesting the earnings and continuously grow the business.
Okay, okay. But let me just ask this as well. Pinapatanong din sa akin, Leandro, what's the annual dividend ratio? I mean, yes, of course, we're looking at the big picture, long term, but investors are also curious what they will get yearly.
So we would like to set low expectations for dividends in the short term because management really thinks that this is an industry that is poised for growth. And it would be a disservice to the shareholders to be prioritizing distributions when we can instead be reinvesting the earnings to make this a full 500 megawatts and even beyond.
Mm. Now, going back to the Nueva Ecija project, can you tell us a little more about the area? Why, of all places, why build in Nueva Ecija?
First is the abundance of flat, unproductive land, mostly pasture land, that we are able to accumulate for a solar project with very high sunlight compared to other parts of the country. And second is its proximity to the demand of the Greater Manila area. People think that provinces like Pampanga and Tarlac are closer to Manila, but Nueva Ecija, particularly these southern towns where we are building, is actually on a linear distance closer than our other project sites in Central Luzon. And one of the advantages of this site is that that proximity means that there is potential to construct new transmission that will allow for the expansion beyond the current capacity.